Office of the Guardian. Ships off the coast of Florida. Are they really Russian? Is there really a threat of a Russian nuclear attack? Have the Cubans sold more Russian weapons to the Americans? The deep state hopes to cash in big on their latest money scam in the United Arab Emirates, Oman, and Jordan. Rumors are swirling once again about a new mainstream media campaign to take place between June 17th and the 22nd. Kim wasn't available at the time we recorded the news today, but she was able to record a message separately. So here she is, Kimberly Gogan with the Office of the Guardian.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I was so late today, and there's a good explanation for that, so I'll talk to you about that in just a minute. I wanted to thank Sunny for introducing me, even though I wasn't there. So thank you so much, Sunny, and thank all of you for your patience. So let's talk about a little bit of the World Situation Report, and we're going to start with some real news first, meaning things that are out there in the media and why they make no sense. So first, BRICS currently has a BRICS coin they've been trying to use as a payment system. Right now, the coin isn't worth a whole lot, number one. And number two, they're having a lot of technical issues with launching that coin from their beta testing, meaning the number of people that they have promised that they could have BRICS coin, their system simply won't handle. So they have been working on it. Now, recently, there's been a lot of talk about BRICS countries and their partners, like Saudi Arabia and a few others that have wanted to join BRICS, about them dropping the dollar. So they've come up with a new idea and a new thought of now potentially partnering with XRP coin or Ripple coin. Now, for those of you that don't know, Ripple coin is another NSA American product. And there is no difference between them using XRP or Ripple versus using US dollars. So they're just kind of going around in a circle, exchanging one thing for another thing. And I don't know if that was just for appearance purposes, but their partners would be identical to the partners they have now. Has hit the airwaves is there are Russian ships allegedly off the coast of Florida that supposedly refuse to leave. Now, I can tell you that we have confirmed that those ships are not actually Russian. They are American ships. And I feel like I'm having deja vu here because the American ship off the coast of Florida thing just happened less than 2 years ago. And it's the same situation and the same exact scenario that played out then. Meaning, some American operatives and American military have gotten a hold of some antique Russian weaponry from their former base in Cuba. And they intended to use those weapons on the American ship so that they can then blame the Russians for allegedly bombing a U.S. state. Is that going to actually work? Is it a lot of hype? Is it a lot of fear? Yes, and I'm not even sure that these weapons could actually function at this point because they are probably almost as old as me to what's happening in the world. So we talked before about the deal that was made between the Palavicini family or Orsini family and the Black nobility and the Order of the Dragon, where the Black nobility would have 65% control of the world, and the Order of the Dragon would have 35%. Along with that came large payouts into the trillions of dollars. And that was not only to China. We did talk about China, but there were also big payments promised to countries like Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Israel, Iran, Iraq, and several other countries. So most recently, these pallets of cash that were part of a project called Project Becky, that were issued starting in the 1970s, and they continued all the way through 2017. These are giant pallets of super notes with duplicate serial numbers on them from previous allocations that are already been utilized within the system. So they pulled these pallets of cash out again. Currently, there is about 15 billion in the UAE. There is more in Oman. and more in Jordan. And this is the latest promise to, for example, the Saudi Arabians, who have been very active lately in spending a lot of cash. So has the rest of the GCC countries. So you have Kuwait in there as well, and a few other, in Bahrain. And Bahrain recently gave $30 million to some Trump operatives, as you know, and we talked about that in the news before. So these pallets of cash are currently being used to bribe the Iraqi government to perform a second helicopter down, just like the one in that happened in Iraq recently, where allegedly the president of Iraq died in the helicopter crash, and he is now partying and having a great time in Belize. So will they continue on with this operation that has been orchestrated by the Palavicini family in order to create a regime change in Iraq? Don't know. Don't know if they're going to continue on doing that. This morning, some lady may have told someone in the Iraqi government that those pallets of cash were not good. They believed their payout for doing this stunt and the regime change was going to be $15 billion. However, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. They told them that they could verify the money at any bank in the United Arab Emirates because those were under the Rothschilds' control. And obviously it worked, when they tried to verify that this cash was real with some banks that were on the take. But I said, well, have you tried to verify it in Europe? Have you tried to verify it in the U.S.? Have you tried to verify it in England? Anywhere where U.S. dollars are utilized, except for the UAE and Saudi Arabia. Because for those of you that don't know, the UAE is considered Saudi Arabia's little brother. So, turns out the cash was not verifiable. Big shock there. And we don't know if they're going to continue on with the operation of switching out the Iraqi government or not. We'll see. Time will tell. Now, other governments that are talking about a big switcheroo are operatives here in the United States. There has been a lot of chatter in the last 3 or 4 days about claiming in the mainstream media that President Trump is going to have or has had a heart attack. They are building a funeral that of epic proportions for this person, which will rival the Elvis funeral. So for those of you that were alive way back when, I was pretty young, but I do remember it because it was on every TV channel and lots of pomp and stance when Elvis passed away back in the late 70s. This funeral is going to have a band, and there's going to be a lot of pomp and stance, far greater than any former president funeral or current president funeral that has ever happened in the United States. And it's loud and it's obnoxious, just like the Duck Dynasty operatives that run that show. The only catch here is I hear that this is supposed to take place between June 17th and June 22nd, which coincidentally coincides with the solstice, number one. And number two, they're floating around a number of $5 billion to orchestrate this affair in the mainstream news. Will they get $5 billion? That's the question. And who is promising them the $5 billion? Well, it appears they're being promised this $5 billion from some funding that allegedly is going to come from the Palavicini family. And I know this because there was a long conversation and has been several long conversations over the last few days on the Jesuit communication line. Yes, the Order of the Jesuits has its own had its own private communication line, which they feel is super secret, that nobody will hear what they're talking about and nobody will hear their operations that they're planning on running. Today, as they were having a conversation earlier today, I decided to tell them that is not the case. And how I did that was I talked to a particular person that I know is deeply involved with the Jesuit order, and I was texting them on a program, an app called Signal, at the same exact time they were having the conversation. And I was texting them word for word what they're talking about. Oh, hey, have you ever heard of a system called X? And we'll get into that in a minute. Hey, have you ever heard of it? What, this? And wow, did you hear something about a Trump campaign and that they're going to, say that he's passed away and there's going to be a big funeral and the cost of this is $5 billion? Wow, and I'm texting him all this information. Meanwhile, they must have gotten wind of this fairly quickly because they went into a panic and had another impromptu meeting on a secret line and said, how do I know all of this stuff? Well, I know all of this stuff because I have a key intelligence and military system that will go into any secret, quote unquote, secret communication line and give me all the data that I need to know. So there you go, Pallavicini and Orsini family. That's how I know. That's how I knew about the Iraqi helicopter going down. That's how we knew about all of this stuff. So it was confirmed actually by you. So thank you very much for having that phone conversation that I could listen into. Greatly appreciated. Having the same conversation over and over and over again, basically with different names, different country names, different faces, and different moon phases, and different solstices and equinoxes, and so on and so forth, is kind of not entertaining anymore. So as of today, the Jesuit order no longer has that communication line. The second one that has gone down is that the Jesuits did have a certain amount still of a backdoor monetary system that was found in conjunction with the communication line. So both of those disappeared today. Those disappeared also was the old, and this is one of the oldest communication lines in the world, was the Knights Templar line. There was also a communication line between Knights Templars around the world that would be super secret. In addition to that, we actually found a monetary line as well, which had about 96 trillion unpaid funds in it. The funds were unpaid, but they had no allocation numbers. So these were digital super notes, if you will, that they've been trying to cash forever. And of course, every different group has them running around all over the place for them, in telling them that they are going to make good on that money, which obviously is never going to happen anyway. So therefore, there's no need to continue on with this monetary system.